also you. And I'm going to be talking about water today. So I want you to think about your favorite body of water. Is it Bear Creek? Pacific Ocean? Why do you like that body of water? So today we're going to talk about water use and water conservation. In other words, we're going to talk about how humans use water over time. Come on, let's go. I want you to imagine that this gallon of water equals all the water on Earth. How much do you think is fresh water? This much? Maybe here? I'll show you. This cup represents all the fresh water on Earth. It's not very much, huh? In reality, 97% of Earth's water is salt water and only 3% is fresh. If that weren't enough, half of this water is locked up in frozen glaciers, or big chunks of ice found in the mountains and in the poles that we're not able to use. That leaves only this much water, about half of this cup, that's accessible for human use. That means that water is a finite resource. What do you think finite means? I'll give you a hint. It's the opposite of infinity. Finite means that we do not have an unlimited supply of water. There's a finite amount of fresh water in our region, and humans use it for many different things. Let's talk about water use in the Bear Creek Watershed, which is right in our own backyard. Before Europeans settled in the 1850s, the Bear Creek Watershed supported small bands of Native Americans known as the Shasta and Takelma people who moved throughout the land as hunters and gatherers. One of their most important food sources were salmon and steelhead that came all the way from the Pacific Ocean to spawn here in Bear Creek. These people settled near convenient sources of water, including Wagner Creek, Emigrant Creek, and Ashland Creek. You've probably been to a few of these places. The Shasta and Takelma people relied on water for cooking, washing, cleaning, and the plant and animal resources it provided. Wetland animals like beavers and otters were also important for many uses, making proximity to water all the more important. The Native American population held water as sacred and took only as much as they needed, and lived in a sustainable balance with nature and water resources. After gold was discovered near Jacksonville, Oregon in the 1850s, pioneers quickly moved in to claim land all around the Bear Creek watershed. Like the Native Americans, pioneers also chose to live near major tributaries like Ashland Creek and Wagner Creek. Living here made it easier to cook, wash, and clean. Pioneers also used water by diverting it to water gardens, farms, and orchards, and to power mills. Later, water even became a source of electricity. During this time, human needs or demand for water in our region went up. Can you think of why? In the 1880s, the fruit industry in the Bear Creek watershed saw enormous growth. Suddenly, with the introduction of railroads, farmers were able to ship their fruit all across the country. This brought in new demand for the limited amount of water in the area. To increase water supply for Ashland's growing population, new pipes and dams were constructed over this time period. This made water more available to keep up with the population increase, as well as the growth of agriculture and recreational areas like sports fields and swimming pools. Today, the Bear Creek watershed is home to over 200,000 people. The search for additional water continues as it is needed for homes, wildlife, growing crops, and even recreational stuff like swimming. Irrigation remains the major out-of-stream use involving Bear Creek. Meeting these irrigation needs as well as household demands continues to be an issue, especially during our hot, dry summers. In Ashland, water use increases from about 2 million gallons a day in winter to over 7 million gallons a day in the summer. That's a 375% increase. To help meet this demand, Ashland shares water with the cities of Talent and Phoenix. Woo! What a history, huh? Now take some time and think. Maybe even grab a piece of paper and write down your answer to this question. How has the need for water changed in Bear Creek watershed over time? Why has it changed? When you're done, come back for part 2.